Hi, I'm Paul from Sailing Kate Louise, and on this trip I go to the lower Hawkesbury, visit Bar Island, eat more kedgeree and make some glühwein. Enjoy. I did.
Just sit back and relax, don't worry, the work can wait, no need to hurry.
It's going to be a nice day, I think. So this is winter in Sydney, clear blue skies. We're about an hour and a half north of Sydney actually, from the Hawkesbury. So that's the Hawkesbury River Road Bridge, and the boat ramp is to the left there. I was going to do a bit about how I rigged the boat and everything before I set out, but because it was so crowded on the boat ramp, I thought I'd best get in the water as quick as possible. So I'll have to save that for a slightly calmer, less busy day. This area is known as the Lower Hawkesbury, which is really interesting. There's a lot of history all around here.
And this history starts with the very dark past of Pete's Island. In 1897 it was decided to build an asylum for inebriates or alcoholics, and in 1911 it became a lunatic asylum, and that's when this place gained a very infamous reputation. There were many reports of torture and unexplained drownings and deaths of men and boys. In 1983 the Daily Telegraph reported a mentally retarded youth had all his fingernails torn out while at the asylum. In fact, while this horror institution was open, 300 people died here on this tiny island. It was eventually closed in 2010. There are plans to build a luxury resort here, but even that won't hide the horrors that took place on this island.
Over there is Milson Island, and behind it is the settlement of Milson Island. There's a narrow strip between the island and the mainland, probably a bit too narrow for me. I think I'm going to go around the outside just to play it safe. Tomorrow's going to be a bit cloudy, so I'm trying to make the most of today. Just see the freeway up there. That's the Pacific Highway going north. Going around Milson Island State Sport and Rec Camp. That's where a lot of school groups go. And dead ahead there, you can see a shipwreck. And that's the shipwreck of the SS Parramatta, Australia's first steel battleship. Built in 1867. Saw action in the First World War, went to Turkey. Not sure if it went to Gallipoli. It was decommissioned in about 1930, I think. Got washed up here to Cascade Falls in a big storm, and that's where it stayed ever since. Quite a dramatic resting place, really. And over here is the start of Bar Point, which is a settlement. You can only really get there by boat. And the nearest boat ramp access was the one we were on, which is way down there. So if you forgot a pint of milk, you've got quite a long way to go, especially in bad weather. Right, you can see the settlement of Milson's Island, which is actually on the mainland, but you can still only get there by boat. And there is a passageway in between the two, probably averaging out about 3 or 4 knots, I'd say. But we're doing all right. It's only about 11 o'clock in the morning, so I'm going to get to where I want to go quite quickly, I think. I've nearly drunk a flask of coffee already. My legs are a little cold. Well, I checked the other day, they said the water was 19 degrees, but my God, it feels chillier than that. Well, this boat definitely attracts a lot of interest. That was the marine rescue boat. He came over to me, and I just had a 10 or 15 minute chat with him. Very interested in the boat, you know. I've got somebody else coming out, but they must be motoring. beautiful. So that's the end of Bar Point on the right hand side, and this is the entrance to the Hawkesbury River. If you keep going a couple of kilometres you come to Spencer, which is the first sort of township on the Hawkesbury. So up ahead that's Pete's Bite. They've got a restaurant there, which is a lot of people sail to in summer. Helicopter's obviously going to drop somebody off for lunch. He looks like he's landing on the jetty. Amazing. Now somewhere around here, and I can't see it, there's a thing called Ballast Island. And it's basically a pile of rocks. So when all the ships went up the Hawkesbury, they used to dump their ballast in one spot. But I do remember a few years ago kayaking up here with my brother-in-law, and he went over, and the nearest place I could paddle to, dragging him and his kayak along, was to Ballast Island. The tide was out, so he could stand up on the rocks. Right in the middle of the screen there is Bar Island. Now there's a lot of history to Bar Island. It still has the ruins of a church on there that then became a school that serviced all these little communities around here. Got to be a bit careful because you see that cardinal marker? Well, there's rocks on the other side of that. It's very shallow to go between the two, like a foot of water maybe. So we won't be doing that. We'll be tying up on this jetty, which is relatively new. I think it's only about 5 years old. Bar Island. It's also known as Pelican Island.
In 1876, as there wasn't much flat land in the area, permission was given to build a church on Bar Island, which was then known as Pelican Island. This served the many communities that were around the lower Hawkesbury, and a part-time school was also established in the church for the local families. But in 1887 a violent storm badly damaged the building, and in 1892 it was demolished. In this tranquil place, there are still some of the gravestones of the 47 settlers and pioneers who are buried on this island. There's also an Aboriginal midden of shells, and who knows how many thousands of years old that is.
So I've just bumped into Luke and Nicole that are enjoying the Hawkesbury River, and they're up from Canberra. Bit chilly in Canberra this time of the year.
Yeah, it's freezing.
And you're staying around, how do you say it? Marra Lodge. Okay, just around the corner.
Yep.
Very nice. You enjoying the Hawkesbury?
Yeah, it's been great. Yep. Haven't really experienced anything like this scenery before, so yeah, it's a really great experience.
So that was historic Bar Island, also known as Pelican Island, just by the entrance to the Hawkesbury River. Not a bad view for lunch. I thought the squeaking was an interesting bird, but I think it's the jetty rubbing. So that was Bar Island, a very pleasant stop. This is what I love about dinghy cruising. You can go and explore different places, get in really close. And days like this, it's just absolutely perfect. I don't want to keep harping on about it, but our winters seem to be quite pleasant compared to those in England or North America, for those North American viewers. This is what I'd imagine bits of Canada to be like. Lots of little islands you can explore. see a sea eagle up there, just soaring around. Not bad, eh? So he did land the chopper on a little pontoon. It's not on floats. That's pretty accurate flying, I would imagine. So the restaurant behind those cruisers, and right next to the helicopter is the accommodation if you want to stay the weekend. And where we're heading is down that way. It's about 3 o'clock now. The wind is dropping. It's beginning to get a little bit cooler. I spent probably an hour and a half getting here, which is just around the back of Bar Island. I haven't gone very far at all, really. But the tide's going that way and it's quite strong, the current. So I've just been going backwards and forwards, really. Anyway, not too far to go. It's probably less than a kilometre away, but it seems to be taking me an awful long time to get there. So I'm doing a bit of motor sailing. I was going to have to tack too many times to get where I want to go before the sun goes down. So, yeah, get there a bit quicker. Still been a very nice day though. Remember I talked about where they used to drop the ballast that went on ships? Well, you can now see it because it's low tide. So there's a huge pile of rocks over there. I'm all set up for the night. I was going to film it setting up, but it's all a bit too hard, so you'll just have to take my word for it. I've got the gaff or the spar running along the top, acting as a ridge for the boom tent. Boom tent strapped around the sides. Works quite well. So my airbed is up. Hopefully it'll stay up. There is a log semi-submerged where it's on the bottom. It's only about a metre deep there, or less than a metre deep. Slightly concerned if the wind changes direction and I blow in that direction. But I don't think it will. It's meant to be blowing this way all night. And there are some rocks over there which don't look too inviting. And looking back towards Bar Island over there in the foreground, you can see all these oyster beds. There's white posts indicating the outsides, and they're everywhere. I'll show you more tomorrow. And Pete's Bite, where the party was, is straight across there where you can see those boats moored. I did bring a whole lot of firewood to have a fire in the beach, but there's other people there, so couldn't be bothered. And also it's very muddy to get in. So this is the magic time of the day, it's the sun setting. We're in the shade over this side. It's not too bad yet. I've still got my shorts on. I don't want to peak too early and go to the tracksuit pants because I've got nowhere to go after that if it gets even colder. Or I could just man up a bit, I suppose. So Derek Ellard, who's the designer of the Stornaway 18 along with Secret 33s and shimmies at Scruffie Marine, let me know that the Scruffie Marine is actually for sale. He's retiring. So if you're an enterprising boat builder or someone that's got some good business sense and wants to buy the jigs and the moulds, it's for sale. And it'll be a shame if more aren't built. So if you're that way inclined, contact Derek and maybe talk some business. I bought the ingredients to make glühwein later, you know, like mulled wine. So I might give that a go a bit later on if it gets cold. I've donned the beanie. It's nice to have warm ears. And I've learnt one thing on this trip. Wearing deck shoes really keeps your feet warm. And warm feet was warm heart. No, what's that? No. Warm feet, happy, no. Anyway, I've got shoes on and my feet are warm and I'm happy. Yeah. Great day in the water. Really liked it. Wasn't a lot of wind, but you know, enough to keep you interested, sort of thing. And I love exploring new areas, so this lower Hawkesbury is interesting. You do have to be a bit careful because there are a lot of oyster leases all the way around here. Yeah, it's, you know, it's hilly around the water, so it's interesting to look at. It's not dead flat. A bit different from Lake Macquarie. I do like Lake Macquarie though, because it's so much bigger, so you never seem to be crowded, you know. Both Trevor and Steve were busy this weekend, so they couldn't come. But hey, there's always next week. Okay, so I'm going to have a go at making glühwein. I was originally going for 2 nights, so I've got enough for 2 nights here. So you start with half a cup of sugar and a cinnamon stick and half a cup of water. That's probably enough. Let me tell you, this is not easy trying to film and do this at the same time. Okay, so the cinnamon and the sugar are melting. I've now got an orange. I'm going to cut that in half. Okay, so I've got 5 cloves. I don't know if you can see those. I'm going to stick those into the orange skin. I haven't got one I prepared earlier, so you'll have to just put up with the slowness. Oh, I've dropped one. That's not good. I'm not going to be able to find that. Okay, so there we have an orange, half an orange with I think I've got 5 cloves in there. And I'm going to add the juice of the orange to the pot, and then I'm going to put the whole thing in and let it boil for about, or simmer for about 20 minutes, and then I'll add the wine. Right, here's the tricky bit. I've got to add some wine, and I need 2 hands for that. So I've added some wine. Might be a bit much, but hey. And then we let that simmer, but not boil. And hopefully it'll taste all right. All set up for the night. So there's quite a lot of room on the Stornaway 18 once you've got the boom tent up. It's quite homely, as Roger would say. Okay, time for a glass of glühwein. Yeah, baby. Oh, it's a bit hot. Reminds me of Europe. Remember Europe? That place we used to go to? Oh, you can taste the cinnamon and the cloves, and it's warm, so it warms the cockles of your heart. If you've never been to the Christmas markets in Europe, you've got to do it. It's fantastic. Good food, mulled wine, brass bands, and it's chilly. Winter dinghy cruising on sailing Kate Louise. And glühwein. What's not to like? Time for kedgeree. Yes, I made kedgeree last time, and I'm going to make it again because it was so good. So that's basically salmon, rice, peas, something green like spinach, and mayonnaise, all mixed together. Very nice. Oh, and hard-boiled eggs. Eggs are boiling along. I'm going to stir-fry the rice. So this is instant rice or partially cooked rice. Okay, so the rice is pretty much done. So you just add the peas, some spinach, the salmon, enough for an army. Give it a bit of a stir. I'm going to add half a lemon just to give it that certain something. So there you have it, kedgeree with smoked salmon, peas, spinach, hard-boiled eggs, and vegetarian mayonnaise. Yep, I'm hungry. That is so good. I think the lemon even adds more to it. It's about 9 o'clock. I've had a really good dinner. Now it's time for bed. See you in the morning. Night. Well, good morning. Interesting night. My air bed, which I thought I'd fixed the leaks in, I hadn't, and it went down again. So I need a new air bed. And it's very cold this morning. It's going to be a cloudy day. I don't know what time it is, but it's chilly. You know, when you get out of a nice warm sleeping bag and then you realise how cold it is, you don't really want to get out, but you know, you've got to get up at some stage.
It's probably 7 or 8 o'clock, I don't know, something like that. Have to get the coffee on, I think. Very heavy dew last night. I've got a hoodie on underneath this, and a hoodie's a bit more comfortable than a beanie. Beanie's a bit too tight on my head, so this is quite nice. Very religious. I'm going to have some mushrooms with scrambled egg. Very good. It's not a bad spot here. Everybody else has gone. Just about to head off. It's about 9:30 in the morning now. Not a lot of wind. It's probably going to take me a long time to get back. What will be, will be. It's a beautiful morning. It's so quiet. Hopefully the wind will pick up just a little bit. I don't want to be motoring. The doldrums. So that's basically 125 degrees we're heading. And that says we're heading 136. That's quite a big difference. So I'm presuming one is true, which is the GPS one, and this one is magnetic. So you've got to apply variation and deviation to that to get the correct course. Probably got 2 knots moving forwards, 2 knots. Still quite a bit of sideways drift, but I can't motor all day, I'll go bonkers. Now, someone on one of the comments on Sailing Kate Louise wanted to know all the stats about a Stornaway 18. So, as they say on YouTube, I'll put the links down there in the comments. Passing Pete's Bight again. That must have been the original house here, and there's a lot of stonework around there, which is obviously pretty old. I was just thinking, you probably watch Roger Barnes's YouTube channel as well. Now he lives in France. He goes to all these exotic places with exotic French-sounding names. We're just going past Ile de Bar, or Bar Island, and we're coming up to Bar Point. Bar Point. My French isn't that good. Seems to be moving a bit now, in the right direction. Well, as you can see, the wind's let me down again. I'm motoring up here, just debating whether to take a shortcut through the Straits of Milson Island or not, or go around it. What a floating debris. The storm was ages ago, but that's quite dangerous if you hit that in a boat late at night. It's got nails sticking up through it as well. Well, we're just about back at the Mooney boat ramp. It's been a bit of a frustrating sail this morning with not a lot of wind. Anyway, thanks for watching Sailing Kate Louise. See you on the water next time. Cheers.